Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live 10 at 10.
Hopefully, we have persuaded these protesters that our state highways and county highways, private property is not the place to carry out a peaceful protest.
North Dakota Governor Jack Dalrymple responding to today's confrontation between pipeline protesters and law enforcement, where there were at least 2 shooting incidents, more than 100 arrests, fires, and the use of tear gas.
Good evening, everyone, and thanks so much for joining us tonight. Tonight, more trouble, including more fires set at a bridge and reports of people throwing Molotov cocktails at law enforcement.
All of this taking place along a stretch of Highway 1806, which is south of Bismarck-Mandan. Hundreds of law enforcement officers and even more protesters are involved. Reporter Bo Evans has more.
7 busloads of law enforcement officers rolled down Highway 1806 early Thursday morning on a collision course with hundreds of Dakota Access Pipeline protesters. Humvees, patrol cars, and assault vehicles were part of the armored force that faced off with demonstrators.
We gave them a chance to leave, to move south. We encouraged them to move to the main camp area south of this location, and we would not arrest them.
Despite that restraint, more than 115 arrests were made throughout the day, most of them for trespassing.
I've never been arrested before, but this is a right cause. I think this is a cause that pertains not only to Indigenous rights, but also to water rights. I think it's something that's important for everybody to be able to maintain the purity of our water.
In addition to arrests, at least 1 person was injured.
The one protester that has been transported from the scene by Metro ambulance. I'm not entirely sure what the injuries are. However, that person was transported.
It took 6 hours for law enforcement to move protesters back about 2 miles to the original Sacred Stone camp. But Thursday's tense confrontation indicates this fight is far from over.
At last report, 117 protesters have been arrested. As far as the shootings, they were separate incidents. A woman was arrested in the first, where someone was said to be injured. There's no word on the severity of that injury. The second involved a protester firing 3 shots near officers. That person was arrested and no one was injured.
Minnesota's BCA is now leading the investigation into the death of Haley Soaring. Soaring's body was found in a wooded area northeast of Elida, Minnesota, Friday afternoon. Monoman County investigators say her boyfriend, Mike Goodman, died on October 20th. That's 1 day after Soaring's body was found. Police say Goodman received a call on the 20th, then walked out to his car and never came back. His friends later found him passed out in his car. Goodman's death has been ruled as non-suspicious, but they're still waiting for the cause of death. At this point, officers do not believe their deaths are related. Now, Clearwater County and Becker County Sheriff's offices are assisting in the Soaring investigation.
In the next couple of weeks, your online information will be more protected. Federal officials have okayed new privacy guidelines for internet service providers.
Now that means companies like Cable One or Mid-Continent will have new restrictions so they don't abuse customer information. Valley News Team's crime and safety reporter Nicole Johnson shows us 3 big ways the new rules will impact you.
Whether you're using an app, browsing the internet, or have your smartphone location settings turned on, your information is being tracked.
I kind of choose not to think about it. Kind of freaks me out sometimes.
To keep what you do online more private, federal regulators pass new policies. Companies like Verizon, Cable One, Sprint, or Mid-Continent will now need your explicit consent before using or sharing any of your personal information, like your emails, health records, social security number, or the history of where your smartwatch has been.
Well, if you don't give it out, you don't have to worry about using it. And I limit a lot of what I put out.
Dennis Ernst is very selective about what he does online. He's in favor of more privacy, but he's still cautious.
Well, the only one thing is, how much does government get involved with the internet? You know, what is private and what isn't private. It's their decision.
The new rules will make internet service providers tell customers very clearly what data they're going to collect from you, why, and how they're going to do it.
I'm in high school, so we kind of embrace the internet with using computers and all that stuff for homework and assignments and such. So I think you kind of have to. and that's a downside of everyone using the internet.
The guidelines will also force internet service providers to take more steps to tell customers when there's a data breach. Nicole Johnson, Valley News Live.
If you want to read more about the new federal guidelines, we have information. It's on our website, valleynewslive.com. Just go there and click on this story.
Moorhead's only had the Nextdoor app for about a week, but people are wasting no time taking to it. They're expressing their concerns over growing crime on Bellesley Boulevard. A thread posted on Nextdoor has neighbors talking about groups of kids up to no good, car break-ins, thefts, and people leaving because of it. Police say the area isn't any more crime-ridden than other parts of the city. Dispatch logs show an attempted rape and theft report from just yesterday, and at least one apartment building has taken to notifying people about suspicious activity. That's in part why Moorhead police want to up their social media presence.
We recognize that law enforcement can't solve all of the issues, many of the issues by themselves. We need to engage and be part of the community and have the community's involvement as well.
There was also a home invasion last week along the boulevard.
A woman searching for a new home in Moorhead came close to being out more than $1,000. She found a home for rent on Craigslist, but quickly realized it was a scam.
Valley News Team's Natalie Parsons explains why the ad was simply too good to be true.
That was the house.
People use Craigslist for many different types of purchases. Mary Merzla is no stranger to it, so when it came to looking for a new home for her and her sister, she knew exactly where to look first, and they found a home that sparked their interest.
They wanted $800 rent. It's a Rambler style, 2-car garage, 3-bedroom, 2-bath.
She contacted the seller and she got an email stating the homeowner and his wife had moved to Texas to become missionaries, so they were looking for someone to rent their home while they're gone up to 6 years. After emailing back and forth, Merzla and her sister were approved for the home and asked for $1,450 to cover a deposit and part of the rent.
He would immediately send us the keys along with the rental agreement and promise to refund our deposit if we were not satisfied.
Merzla hadn't seen the inside of the home yet, so she wasn't going to send him anything. The seller even tried striking up a deal saying once the money was deposited into his account, she would get the keys within 24 hours. That's when she sensed this was no longer about the home, it was about the money. This was a scam, and she'd never get those keys.
People that make an occupation out of scamming people can do it and attack anyone, anywhere. So they take photographs, whether it's an advertisement for a house that may be for sale, pretend that it's theirs, try and get some kind of deposit or try to get some type of funds.
Moorhead police say scammers are even willing to change their story to make it believable and lure you in. But as for Merzla, she knows better.
We've rented so many houses and apartments that we know that this is not how it's done.
In Moorhead, Natalie Parsons, Valley News Live.
We stopped by the Moorhead home to find that a new owner had moved in just days ago. He says he worked with Hatch Realty for the purchase and never had to put down a deposit.
Last week, we told you about a man who was speaking out against Gate City Bank closing his checking account without his permission. Well, since then, Julian Dahlquist says he got all $75 back from his closed account, which had been turned over to the North Dakota Unclaimed Property Division. The bank contacted him over the weekend to schedule an appointment, and when he went in today, they had his money ready to return to him. Dahlquist says he didn't open any new checking account with Gate City Bank, but he would consider it in the future.
Residents in the Moorhead School District will have a chance to vote on an operating levy renewal in the upcoming election. The renewal would provide over $200 per student in voter-approved funding for the next 10 years, starting with the 2018-19 school year. School board officials say this will continue to help support education for the growing student enrollment in the district. The average home in the district will see zero impact with the renewal. Agricultural properties are exempt except for the value of the house, garage, and surrounding 1 acre.